Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another SpaceX Starlink launch of 23 satellites to low Earth orbit. I want to welcome my good friend Brian to the program. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's up? How's it going, everyone? Glad to be here.
Not too bad, not too bad. Today is a very busy day in spaceflight. We have Starlink 635. This evening, we're going to have another Starlink mission out of Vandenberg. And then about 2 a.m., maybe a little bit later, Eastern time, we will have the inaugural launch of the ULA Falcon Centaur. Centaur's about 8 to 10 meters smaller than the Falcon 9 rocket. So same kind of idea. They'll be taking a lander to the lunar surface. So really looking forward to that mission early in the morning. I will certainly be covering it. But not to take away from the current mission, we have a Falcon Starlink 7-5, and we're over at the 45th Space Weather Wing. Probability of violating weather constraints is about 20%. So that's a pretty good chance that we'll get up. So that's that's what we got going on there. We'll say hello to everybody real quick and we'll get into it. Hey, Scad, thank you for the email. I got an email from Scad this morning telling me the weather was terrible in the East Coast, and not to count on the launch. I watched it. It was originally scheduled for 4 p.m. It got moved back a couple times, and we seem to have a pretty good launch of 5:35 this evening or this afternoon. So looking forward to it. Brian's here, of course. Jason J, hello. And Shenny's here. Hello to all. This will be about 30 minutes in total until landing, and then we sign off. But sorry, I don't want to steal your streaming time, but can't wait for the rockets. They do their own. And they'll be taking the late Star Trek actor's ashes with them. Oh, that's really cool.
Wait, really?
Really cool. Yeah. That's what I trust Scad. She watches this stuff too. So
That's legit.
This is a completely different channel. I don't know what you're talking about. Wink, wink. So, yeah. So here's what our weather constraints look like. We should be go for launch on weather. We're waiting for SpaceX's feed to start, and while we do that, SpaceX's feed starts 5 minutes before launch. And they're scheduled for 5:29 to start their feed, which is right on time for a 5:34 launch, which I tweeted out earlier that was my guess as to when the launch was going to occur. So SpaceX is targeting January 7th for a Falcon 9 launch of 23 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit from SLC-40, Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in normally sunny Florida. This is 5:35. It will likely be more like 5:34, but we'll give them the minute. Their backup opportunities until just about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, but we're not going to need that. So we'll get going there. This is 16th flight for the first stage booster supporting the mission, which previously launched at CRS-22, Crew 3, Turksat 5B, Crew 4. So this has taken 2 crewed astronaut missions, CRS-25, Eutelsat, Hotbird 13G, mPOWER PSN Satira, and 7 subsequent Starlink missions. Following stage separation, the first stage will land on A Shortfall of Gravitas, which will be stationed in the Atlantic Ocean. So 16th flight, we're coming up on that 18 flight booster that had its untimely demise, which is a video on this channel. You can watch every flight from the record-breaking SpaceX booster that flew 18 times, and came to a sad demise 19 times. 19 times.
Is that the one that tipped over?
It is. Rough waves did not have the automatic leveling system that are on newer versions of the Falcon 9, and it did fall over at sea. So,
Well, now it's a reef, so
it's actually 5:33 and 33-second launch with the delay. Yeah. So, so we'll be there. We'll be just around that kind of area. So at T-38, go for propellant load. We're already well within that. T-35, we start loading RP1 or rocket grade kerosene. I haven't looked at the mission profile yet, Scad, but we will in just a moment here. T-35, first stage locks begins. Then we start loading liquid oxygen on the second stage at T-16. And that's kind of the area that we're in right now. So the next major milestone will be engine chill. They run cryogenic liquid through the engine to thermally develop it for flight. Because if you just started pumping it through, you would have problems for sure. T-minus 1 minute, command flight computer begins final pre-launch checks. T-minus 1 minute, also propellant tank pressurization for flight. T-minus 45 is the major time that we're looking forward to. That is go for launch time. And then we start ignition at T-minus 3 and liftoff at all zeros.
I have a quick question for you. So when you say problems with the engine if it doesn't go with the chill, is it due to gas expansion or like what's the problem with that?
Well, there's expansion. You can thermally shock it when you go from ambient temperature to minus 273 to then 300 to 400 degrees. So you have to thermally condition the engine. So the little by little they start adding heat or adding cool to actually thermally condition so the engine doesn't blow apart. Because if you, I mean, you know, as a chemist, if you go from negative 273 to 500 degrees
You
and
get cracking.
from
Yeah.
ambient, you're going to get cracking, you're going to get issues and stress and fatigue on the engine, which would make it not viable for multiple reflights. So it's certainly something that you want to thermally condition and kind of work through so that there's not the huge temperature shocks each way. So
Gotcha.
So we are going to get a hard right on the ascent. SpaceX really likes flying this profile. You're totally fine. Totally fine. So SpaceX has been favoring this heavy right turn. And it's worked for them. So why change what's working? So we get launch, ascent, stage separation as normal. Then we'll start to get the flip, fairing separation, and payload will go on and deploy. The first stage will return to Earth with an entry burn. Then it will use those big aerodynamic fins for guidance. There's those big aerodynamic fins machined out of one single piece of titanium, and that is a very large hand there on the lattice.
Whopper hand.
Whopper hand, yeah. Then it will have a vertical landing, autonomously communicating with the drone ship for a good landing. We've been through all this kind of stuff, and SpaceX's feed is just starting, so I'll just go to the important part. 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 22 seconds into today's mission, Starlinks will deploy and go into their parking orbit. So we'll take you to the broadcast, maybe? There we go. Just starting up. Trying to see. There doesn't seem to be anything crazy with this mission. It looks like the way they've been handling it for most of them. Hey, Dazzer. What's up, buddy? T plus 1 minute and 12 seconds, we have Max Q. T plus 2 minutes and 27 seconds, we have MECO. And that's the end of the lift job for the flight. Sorry, I was listening to the call out. Strike back retract. So we go back a couple degrees, 3 to 5. At flight, it will go back to about 15. That's done in part at a later time, obviously for stability issues. It's also done because the strength and rigidity of the rocket increases after the fuel. Again, we're dealing with very cold fuels. And the what is it, 340X? I think they named it because Elon loves X's. So they took 340L and continued to refine the mixture of the metal that they're using. So it's 340X, and it actually gets stronger as it gets colder. So it's able to hold the rocket stable. It looks pretty today.
Yeah, it's actually a lot nicer looking than it is here.
Yeah. Doesn't look bad at all.
Because we all get that snow and stuff. Hi, Digger.
Yeah, the sky is beautiful tonight. There's a little bit of upper level winds or upper level cloud cover that is an issue. But it's looking, and that's from the storm that came through earlier. It's working on moving its way out, and there's some range issues with the clouds, especially since they're kind of turning into that weather pattern. But everything I've heard and everything I've seen from 45th has said that we are still go for launch. So, you can kind of see that storm system
Stage 1 lock float is
and
complete.
and the cloud level by those images. So,
Are they worried at all about the landing again this time because of like any kind of rough waves or anything like that?
they have been, and again, this is one of the earlier variants. I think this is B1060, booster 1060, if I'm not mistaken. And this one does not have the automatic stabilization involved in the landing gear. The newer variants, when we get to the 1100 series and kind of past that, those variants have stabilization for the legs so that it can account for rough seas. This one does not have that equipped. So
Stage 2 lock float is complete.
Well, let's
I'll
pray
trade
that.
you.
Huh?
Wait, we're making a deal right now. Scat says, "Oh, I'll trade you. You can come live here. I'll take the snow." Deal.
Yeah, take all the snow. It'll be great.
Deal.
God, at least it's not freezing ice, like freezing rain. It should just the ice on the ground is awful.
It's ice here. It's ice
Oh,
here in
no.
Southeast Michigan. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We have like at most slush. It's
Ground gas
too
closeout.
cold for it to be super icy still.
Oh,
Because
okay.
we had snow and only snow, so it didn't ice over.
Gotcha. I stepped out on the deck this morning and thought I was ice skating. So, like, we have a pretty thick layer of it.
Oh, geez. Yeah, no. Luckily, the city's salted properly, so
Gotcha.
the roads are not bad.
So we're coming up on that call out for flight tank pressurization and
Falcon
startup.
9 is in startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup, so Falcon 9 has taken over control of the entire launch. They'll all be fed through their flight computers and their autonomous systems. Now we're coming up on call out for go.
Go for launch.
And we are go for launch. Go SpaceX, go Starlink, go Falcon 9.
T minus 30 seconds.
We're not seeing a big vent yet. We saw a good depress vent, but we're not seeing the normal puffy stuff.
Is it too cold outside for it to? No, it shouldn't be.
10,
Well,
9,
I think it was 58,
7, 6,
so
5,
it's possible.
4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go Falcon. Go Falcon.
Oh, it never gets old.
Ooh. 66. Okay.
It's 66. Okay. I read 58, but
Vehicles pitching
we
down.
know how media it can be at times.
Oh, look how pretty that is.
It's so gorgeous.
I would love to go see a launch.
Let's go. Scad invited us down. so we could watch it from her place.
Where's this near? Fort Lauderdale?
Titusville,
Nominal
Daytona
tower
Beach.
telemetry.
Gosney lives very close in Daytona. Steve Gosney. Scad lives very close.
Falcon is supersonic.
Supersonic, and we're coming up on max Q.
Road trip. It's only a 24-hour drive.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Max Q.
And that's a good call out for max Q, the maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. And as we encounter less and less atmosphere, again, you'll see the plume of those 9 Merlin engines on that first stage get bigger and bigger. That shows you that there's less pressure and less atmosphere for it to contend with, so it will continue to expand. So we know we're gaining altitude.
God, look at that blue color on the Earth.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely beautiful.
I don't think I've seen that color yet in a really long time since I've watched your launches.
There's a lot of cloud cover, so it's kind of yeah, I mean it's gorgeous, but so you're getting the reflections off the clouds of the sun. So now we're seeing that plume get really big. That's how we know we're close to MECO. These are optimized for sea level conditions, so they're not the best engines once we get into the vacuum of space. That's why we have one Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage.
MECO.
It's optimized for use in a vacuum.
Stage separation confirmed.
Confirm stage set. Next call out would be fairing deploy.
Evacuation.
And obviously there's less rocket, less payload, or less weight, and the MVAC engine is much more effective in vacuum. So we can, where it takes us 9 to get to that about 70 kilometers in altitude, the one Merlin engine
Fairing
will take us
separation
to the rest of our height and speed. So
Did those fins deploy a little early?
looked a tad early, but I don't know if the video's just timing's off on the video.
Because, I mean, they flip and then put out the fins, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the grid fins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is part of the new mission profile. They're very aggressively turning. I don't know if it saves them fuel, but they're very aggressively turning, and then their guidance starts immediately.
Both vehicles are on a nominal trajectory.
So we've seen 2 of them where they've actually had to institute a boost back burn to try and get it back to the drone ship, because that's how aggressive of a curve they're taking out. So it's been a different mission profile than a lot of the earlier missions, because they're actually boosting back to try and get back to where they're going to land. So it's very aggressive, but it seems to be working for them, and they seem to favor it at this point. So
I wonder what the stressors are like, if it's different at all. Because if they're going more aggressively, the stressors will be higher, right?
yeah, but you're in vacuum, so
I guess that's true.
you're not going to have the forces that you would. I mean, you'll still have G's from the acceleration, but they're probably less than the G's from the launch, to be honest. I'd have to do the math, but because again, going into space, you're fighting against the gravity of the Earth, so you're constantly falling around the globe. Constantly falling off the
Falling
horizon.
with style.
Well, yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous style. So again, on the left-hand side, we see
Both vehicles continue to follow a nominal trajectory.
the booster coming back to land on the drone ship off the coast of Florida. The right side, we see the payload and the second stage EVAC engine. They've been cutting it off at should be around 27,056 kilometers per hour. Excuse me. 2756 has been their target recently. They've been a couple, 1% either way of that. But
Stage 1 FTSO saved.
so now we're going to get the entry burn.
Stage 1 entry burn started up.
So we'll see the first stage start to slow. Then we'll see it speed back up just a tad until it starts encountering atmosphere. At that point, the atmosphere will bleed off unless
Stage 1 entry burn
Nope.
shut down.
they're doing it
Stage 2
that way.
FTSO saved.
So if you look at the speed, now we're going back up in speed because we're falling again. And right there's where we counter atmosphere, and now we're going to start slowing it down. Believe it or not, our atmosphere does most of the work for the rocket.
Wow, those clouds are beautiful too. Holy crap. Oh, and we lost.
Oh, lost uplink.
Does that mean we lost the booster again?
No.
Oh, there we go.
They tend to lose uplinks because of various weather and stuff like that.
Stage 1 transonic.
Cloud.
That, ooh. Now we're not getting telemetry data. That might be bad. There was a hiccup in the telemetry if you're looking at it.
Well, I mean, I still see telemetry going on, right?
Yeah, it stopped for a minute though. It stopped for a brief moment. So yeah, we still have a booster. Come on, show me through the clouds. I want to see
Stage
it.
2 is in terminal
Oh,
guidance.
we're not gonna get it. It's not gonna happen.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Oh
Oh, no.
no! We'll get the burn. There's some clouds, and there's the drone ship.
Landing leg deploy.
Oh,
And
no,
like,
wait, hold on.
boy.
It looks like they almost missed.
They are off by a little bit. It does appear.
Stage 1
Yeah, they're
landing confirmed.
they're way off.
They're a little close. Ooh.
There was a problem with the telemetry. Something with when it
Come back,
stopped.
Captain.
There was an issue there. Oh, a little fast today. 2758. Because they usually hit that 2726
Nominal park orbit insertion.
nominal orbital insertion. So yet another successful Starlink mission. Great job, SpaceX. Always fun to watch. So, like I said, there are some more launches this evening. They don't have it up. Also, I wanted to make mention of this. There is a... Sorry, I'm trying to stop that so I don't hear their music. There has been mention of another Starship test in about 2 weeks.
Really?
So they're targeting January 21st for a launch test of the Starship launch system.
Oh, that's going to be so good. On the 21st, that's a Sunday.
Yep.
I'll be there.
It's going to be beautiful.
I want to be
It's
there.
going to be beautiful. So yeah, so we have a couple things coming up. We have obviously the Vulcan VC2 Perkine mission, which is sending a rover to the surface of the moon. That launch time is scheduled for 2:18 a.m. I'll probably go live at around 1:45, 1:50, depending on. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. And then tomorrow night, well, Tuesday morning at scheduled for 2:20 a.m. The Chinese space program is launching the Long March 2C with the Einstein probe. So excited to see that. That's going to be some radar spectrometry. Say that word for me.
Oh my God, I can't say it
that's
either.
what I'm saying. So spectroscopy. Is that right?
Spectroscopy. Ooh.
I don't know how to say it.
Spectrophotometry.
Spectrophotometry.
Is it a photo? How are they scanning this? There's like 8 different words it could be.
I don't know. You want me to spell it?
No.
Let me read it. I'm trying to. So it has a wide field X-ray astronomy observatory that word I can't say.
Spectroscopy.
Yeah. So wide range, 3,600 square degrees. But we'll get into that. Lobster eye optics, a 3,600 square degrees field of view. So it'll be interesting, and we'll get into that. But that will be tomorrow. We also have. No, actually, that's tomorrow. Well, that's late tonight too. SpaceX Falcon 9 Starlink Group 7-10 from Vandenberg Space Force Base. That launch window opens at midnight. So we'll cover that one as well. We haven't nailed down a specific launch time for it, but I'm sure SpaceX will have something in the very, very near future. Is that it? Did they just update it? No, that's the previous one. So I will stay tuned. It looks like it's going to be at midnight. So we'll go from there. But the Vulcan is supposedly launching, and that one's going to be about 2:18, somewhere in that time frame. Actually, okay, breaking. They have moved the Starlink 710 back to January 10th. So 2:57 a.m. on January 10th. So that one will go right after the Chinese rocket. So no Starlink from Vandenberg tonight. That will be tomorrow. So I'll update that one right now. And yeah, so that's going to be it for us. Thank you for joining me, Brian. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you all. If it's your first time here, please hit that subscribe. Please hit that like, whether it's your first or 100th time here. And I hope to see you all again for the launch this evening. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.